Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, it's something serious. Where my girls at? We ain't linked up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right.
Hey, Michael, it's Gloria calling. I have to call back on the other number. I don't know what this one worked. Can you lock me in?
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Hold on. That's Reba's got 203. For the women Wiggins.
Hey, you guys, I'm excited that you're here. Excited you're here. We're going to have a great show today. Okay, great. Thanks.
Hey you guys, happy Monday. Welcome to We Got Issues. Sorry for the silence. We're trying to figure out who's going to do our Facebook on today. And so tag, I'm it. Y'all got me, you got me. We're always so elated to come back. And it's a privilege to be with you guys Monday through Friday. And so thank you to all of our tribe, you guys. You know, you make this worthwhile. We absolutely enjoy all the comments and, you know, your input. We absolutely know we have several of you that don't mind calling in, and we absolutely want you to voice your opinion. So whenever you get a chance, you know, you comment here, but sometimes just, you know, I don't know if you watch it on, if you have multiple devices or whatever, you know, you can always download the 910 AM Superstation app, but we always love to hear your comments. So 313-778-7600. We're about to come on. And today we are talking about Beside the Badge. So we're excited about our guests that we're going to have on today. So we'll be right back at you at the break.
Well, happy Monday. Welcome to We Got Issues. OMG. There is nothing like a Monday. And I just want to tell you, if we are looking for our Facebook audience, or if we are sounding for our radio audience a little rested and relaxed, it is because we had the Bishop Charles Ellis III on the show on Friday. Can we give him a shout out? Yay!
He was amazing. He was amazing.
OMG. I loved it. I was with my grandkids. It gave me a full day with them at the beach. I'm going to hear from the other girlfriends. If you are following Gloria Mayfield Banks, you know she was tied up on Friday hanging with the billionaire. Okay, I'm just saying. Yes, helicopter, everything. I'm glad to say I know her. So this is Caterina Harris Earl on We Got Issues. We are the force of friendship. And I'm telling you, keep listening, keep watching, keep tuning in, because every day we got something new for you today. We have two amazing guests today, and I'm going to bring them in a little bit. It's a very important topic. We're talking about recruiting and talking about visibility and community relationships with the law enforcement. We have two representatives from Wayne County, from the Sheriff's Department, and a HR liaison from Wayne County. We're excited, and we know that this doesn't just pertain to Wayne County, but if you are listening anywhere in the country and even anywhere in the world, this topic is hot. I'm going to bring the girlfriends in, and I know y'all's weekend was eventful. Okay. I know everybody has something amazing. We always come up with 2 or 3 really hot topics. Of course, I know somebody's going to bring in the Olympics, but these are 2 things that I saw and I had to jot them down and say, you know what? I got to bring this up. Do you realize that the climate change is so bad, y'all, that the Salt Lake City, the Salt Lake is disappearing? Is that crazy? When we were driving, I drove my car from our Chicago house to our California house, and we saw Salt Lake. It's like you could walk on it because it's just salt. Like it's just salt. You can drive it.
The scary thing is they're gonna have to rename. It's no longer gonna be Salt Lake City. It's just gonna be
Pepper. It's gonna be Pepper City.
Yeah, or just
Pepper
salt.
City, Utah.
Just salt. Sabrina, we can't hear you on the radio.
No, you can't. Okay.
So, and the other thing that was crazy is that we talked last week. Was it last week, Chris, that we talked about Bumble? Who had the guest
Bumble,
on?
yeah.
Yes. That was Sabrina. Sabrina, tell your girlfriend that they had, because of a Bumble match, one of the people who rioted at the Capitol was arrested because he told his Bumble match that he was there, and she identified him, and the popo came and picked him up. Can you believe that? Because of Bumble.
She snitched and told where they could find them. That was funny to me.
Yeah, he said everything is not funny. This really is not a funny situation, but
not.
That is funny. Okay, that is funny. You thought you were hooking up for something else, and you got hooked up. Okay, you really got hooked up. You got hooked up. So I am just gonna pass it to Gloria Mayfield Banks. Gloria, talk to us. How was Miami? How was it? Talk to us, and then we go hear from the other girlfriends.
When I tell you that thing was hot, it's so good to be with you guys on Happy Monday. Seriously, I am on fire. I went there for the sole purpose of how to think bigger. When you're around people who think big, you come back thinking big. And I mean, seriously, he took us up to his phenomenal home on the 33rd floor and had his helicopter come back and meet us. And that helicopter was so close, it kissed me on the lips. I'm serious. That helicopter was kissed. It was totally illegal what he was doing. Close to the apartment.
Tell him who he is, Gloria. Tell him who he is for the listening audience.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was with Frank Cardone out of Miami, Florida. He's a self-made multi-millionaire. He's changed. I've been talking to him, following him, being on the stage for the last 7 years. And you guys, he's changed a lot into someone who's want to significantly give back to those who don't have a lot. So he started a big foundation. And it's just incredible to see somebody who at one time you thought it was all about money, but it's now turned to what he can do with money. And so you have to lean into the way in which he's doing it. It's amazing to watch someone navigate the world the way he's navigating, how he's being very transparent. And you might buy a book, but eventually his goal is, as many of our goals are, is to influence people so that they can have more, so they can give more. That's just bottom line. And the way in which he's doing it is something to see. And the way in which he recognizes, I'm from a world of true recognition of people's examples. And so that was a big deal. So it was really a great place. But what I went for, I achieved. How to think bigger and how to be very in someone's face about changing their lives if it requires financial change. So that was a big deal to be in that space. But I also want to say this, Caterina, what's on my heart really, there's a lot of things on my heart. I could talk about the Olympics, but what global warming is on my heart. I just can't seem to get with the fact that 2 big fires have collided with each other. I just can't get with the fact that 10,000 homes are right now. Hey,
there's the Olympians. Speaking of the Olympics, there's the Olympians going up to watch the games. Okay. For the Facebook audience, it is the Olympian Kitty Monday. I just have to say the gold medalist. Yeah, the gold medalist. I just have to say that every one of my grandchildren is excited that I know an Olympic gold medalist. They're like, you know him? You know him? I say, yeah, I know him. Okay, Gloria, finish up.
No, it just, I mean, I really feel that same way now, because now that we're in the Olympics, it just makes us knowing Kitty Monday just on a higher plane, And I was just finishing that thought that, you know, global warming is super real and we have to be super vigilant. And I'm just watching these fires and they're showing pictures from the space on how it's happening. So, you know, when you get global warming over there and then you get to see the most amazing Olympic records and world, I mean, you guys setting Olympic records and world records in the semifinals. They're not even to the finals and they're setting records. I mean, I'm just like, my mind is blown. And my mind is also blown by watching the bounce back ability where they fall, they slip, they miss, and then they get back on that thing and do it again. I mean, my mind is blown with that significantly. So I'll throw it back to you, Caterina. I am on fleek, like for real.
Well, you know, one of the places that I went this weekend was the aquarium, and I almost feel bad that I am drinking out of a plastic bottle. Forgive me, because I'm adjusted to these grandkids. I had to just grab some water. But, you know, when you go, they have this whole display, a whole section of the aquarium is showing how much plastic is in the ocean. And it's just, you know, we got to fix it, y'all. We got to fix it. Just those little sea lions and them telling you what they do and that they can only find 3,000 of them. You know, it's just crazy where it used to be hundreds of thousands. So, all right, I'm passing it to Sabrina. I'm not sure who my co-host is today, but hey, Sabrina.
Hey, how are you? Hey, what do you say? It's Monday. I'm excited. Every day is Monday. And here we are again. So much going on in our world. Some happy, a lot of sad, but we are here making a difference. Don't drop the mic. We all have something to say. I'm excited about this show. This weekend was a great weekend. Thank you, Bishop and his co-host, for filling in for the girls. I caught a piece of it. He's like, where them girls at? Where them girls at? They AWOL. We ain't seen them girls. And so
lifting us and trashing us at the same time. Lifting us and trashing us.
Corralling this crew. It's a crew to keep up with, I tell you. Here, there, and everywhere. Went to Ohio quickly, looking for a home. You guys know we're in the middle of moving. This housing market is something we've never seen. Crisette, I know you just came through it. I don't know how you did it. I'm so ready to just throw my hands up as soon as we see something, ready to make an offer. It's no longer there. And so I get sad. And but I know what's for us is for us, and God is in control. And it's all good. It's all good. So I came back and went to the Sunflower Festival with a girlfriend, and it was fabulous. I mean, just
pictures were amazing.
Pictures were fabulous. Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, amazing. And so that was my release on life. And here we are on a Monday. So much to talk about. So we won't take up all that time. Let's go to who? Crisette? Who we going to next?
Yeah. We're running out of time, but you can't cut Chris's time. Okay,
that's right. That's right. Don't play. Hey, you guys, I'm excited to be here. Yep, it's Monday, and you guys are tuned in to 9:10 a.m. the Superstation. We're excited to be here. I also want to give a shout out to my husband and David Felton. They did an amazing job on Friday, and you know, I know Gloria was busy. Caterina was with her grandsons, and me and Sabrina were on, and we're like, we ain't letting him host again, because you know what? He was doing such a good job. We're like, no, we're gonna find somebody else. Right. They did an amazing job, and we thank you guys for calling in and commenting. So we appreciate that. You guys, we had a wonderful weekend. Saturday, we had a large gathering here at my house, not the new house, the house that we're in now, with Chuck's family. And when I tell you, everybody showed up, because we haven't done a holiday together. So everybody bought something, right. And literally it was so good just to be together. Everybody was vaccinated. So, you know, right. We were comfortable, you know, no hesitation. And we just laughed and talked. You would have thought it was Thanksgiving, you know, in July. So that was really, really wonderful. And it's just, you know, you just have to count your blessings, you just never know what life is going to do and offer and things that are going to happen, because in the matter of a twinkling of an eye, something could happen. And so I really am excited, Caterina, about this conversation that we're going to have about law enforcement, because I have a friend of mine who, just talked to her the other day. Her niece is, recovering. We're praying for her right now. Went to a vigil of someone that passed, and somebody came and sprayed the area with bullets, and her niece was shot 4 times. 4 times.
What?
Just an innocent person. Yeah. And she was able to run into a store and a woman saw her. When you're running like that, your adrenaline gets to going. And the lady literally saw that she was bleeding from several places and had the sense of mind to take her jacket, tied around her leg and kind of make a tourniquet. Then she saw she was shot in her stomach. She got something and held it till the ambulance got there. So I know that's kind of vivid. I know that's kind of like, ooh, y'all talking about that. But this is real, guys. This is real life. This is what happens in all major cities, inner cities. I mean, the gun violence is real. And just like climate control, gun violence is up there as well. So I am absolutely excited about this conversation about what can we do, especially with our law enforcement. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to you, Caterina.
Yeah, I'm just, Chris, it's just, there are 4 of us here and you're telling that story. And just less than 2 weeks ago, my husband's cousin was shot, sprayed. I mean, it's just not shot, murdered, killed in Chicago. It's just too close to home. And it's so unfortunate. And so we are grateful for our law enforcement. We are. I know, as someone who has a public policy background, if you had asked me 30 years ago, I would have thought that's what I would be doing for a living, but I'm so passionate. And way back when I worked for the mayor's office, all of in Oakland, California, that was part of what I did, similar to what one of our guests did today, was act as a liaison between many different departments, because I could not work with at-risk youth and not bridge the gap between them and our police force. And so I am going to bring in our 2 guests. We're going to bring them in now. Dorothy, go ahead and bring in Mark and Naze. I said, what do I call y'all? And he said, Mark, call me Mark, call me Mark. And that's what's beautiful is just with law enforcement, that connection is so important. And so Mark Diaz is a recruiter for Wayne County's Sheriff's Office. He was sworn, has been a sworn member of the Wayne County Sheriff's Office since July of 2019 after serving with Detroit's police department for 26 years. Mark has served in various positions in law enforcement career, ranging from uniform police duties, field training, undercover assignments, police instructor, and on and on. Sat as an elected trustee on the Detroit Police and Fire Retirement System Board from 2011 to 2019. You've served the community for a long time, and you are a board member for the National Association of Police Organizations, as well as the Michigan Association of Police Organizations. Would you give a big round of applause for someone who's making a difference in law enforcement? Give it up for Mr. Mark Diaz. And then back by popular demand, I have to say, actually today, he invited himself. Because honestly, Naze, I'm going to pass it to you really quickly. HR liaison for Wayne County. Can you we have 2 minutes before we go to break. And so I'll bring in Mark after the break. Can you just talk about the conversation you were having and how this conversation came about, why you thought it was so important to bring this to We Got Issues? And we appreciate you.
Well, thank you for having me back, ladies. Yeah, I did invite myself because it has been too long since we've been around.
Down here, I think.
Am I muted?
Muted on radio.
Am I muted? All right. I said thank you for having me back because it's been too long since we talked, so I had to welcome myself back. But that being said, we were having a conversation between.
Naze, you're fading in and out. You're fading in and out. The phone. We may need you to call back in, or it might be the headset. That was good. Whatever you just did.
Oh, I gotta dial back in.
Let's see. Let's see. Because I know this came about as a conversation. Try it one more time, Nazay.
This is Nazay
Okay,
Young.
I think what we're going to do is we're going to fix these issues. I think Michael can go ahead and take us to a break. Just hold on, y'all. Hold on and come back. You're going to hear from Nazay and you're going to hear from Mark. We got issues, but we about to fix them. We'll talk to you in just a couple minutes when we pay the bills.
Hey, you guys, we're so excited to be leaning into this conversation on today. I'm telling you, and I'm sure most of you that live in metropolitan areas, big cities or whatever, I don't know, but I do know that, in a lot of the big cities and even some of the small towns, crime is on an uptick. And, I don't know what all the causes are. Of course, we know that gun violence plays a huge part in that. But, right after the pandemic and things started, opening up, and we do know that there was definitely an uptick or a higher number of domestic violence cases, just because, during the pandemic, the women really didn't have a place that they could go as a safe haven. So, this is a conversation that we have to have. I just, at my age, I'm just wondering, will our government, if our legislature will pass laws that will, stop the influx of guns that lead to the violence. And so, I don't know, of course, we absolutely, continue to pray, but we also know that, we gotta find a way to prevent guns getting into the wrong hands. And I don't know why. I know the NRA, they kind of believe almost any and everybody should have a gun. And I think there are certain guns that don't even need to be on the market. I mean, why do we need a Uzi? Really? You need a Uzi? Come on, I understand, the right to bear arms and to have a gun. But, why do we need to have those kinds of guns on the street? So these are some of the questions that I know that I want to, ask our guest on today. And so we hope that, put your questions, if you have questions for our guests, put it in the chat so that we can make sure that we ask them. But better yet, call in 313-778-7600. So anyway, got to come up with a solution for getting these guns off of the street and, getting that all of these cases of violence. It's just so much. It's so much to wrap your head around. But, we just have to keep the faith and keep believing that things are going to change, because if we don't, you definitely don't want to lose faith, and you absolutely don't want to lose hope. So, maybe there are some things that are going on in your community.
Okay, we are back. We are back. You're listening to We Got Issues, and we are jumping back in. We're excited to have Nazay Young, HR liaison with Wayne County, and we are very, very excited to have Mark Diaz, who is representing a recruiter from Wayne County Sheriff's Department. Nazay, are you there? You were going to talk about the conversation, how this conversation came up. Testing 1, 2. We got you?
Can everybody hear me now?
We still don't have you.
Can everybody hear me now?
We can hear you
all right,
now.
Here we are again. Yes, thank you. Finally. Welcome. Thank you all for welcoming me back. I am so excited. Like I said, I did welcome myself back. So thank you. We were having a conversation, my team and I and Mark at Wayne County, about visibility in the community and how to change the narrative, which means putting more Black and brown voices and faces in our community. And how do we approach that? And this conversation happened to happen the same day that I had a really unique situation that happened to me. My son, I put him in the summer program at his school, And so I was running late and decided that I was going to do about 45, 50 down the side street and jump through a stop sign and head right on into the school. And as soon as I crossed the stop sign, I looked over to the right side and there was a cop sitting about 2 blocks up the road. And I didn't want to make it a hard thing. So I decided I was just going to surrender. And I pulled myself over and sat on the side. And so he waited about a minute or so and he inched up on the side of me. And I rolled my window down and he's like, so you know what you did, right? And I was like, yeah. He looked over, he saw my son in the park. And she said, you trying to get him to school? I said, yeah, I was trying to get him to school, man. I was running a couple minutes late. And he was like, you know what you got to do. Slow down and go ahead. And he let me go. And what I took away from that was having someone who visibly represents and looks like me and understands my situation was able to diffuse all of the anxiety and things that come along with being pulled over by the police. And then I go to work later that day or that morning. And later that day, I end up on a call with Mark. And we're talking about how can we get more bodies within law enforcement, particularly Wayne County, and get them hired and get them visible on the streets so that we can see the people that help and serve our communities. So that's where we were at. And you know, Mark has been a really great resource for the sheriff's office. And I want Mark, he was sharing earlier with me today a story about how he got into law enforcement and that transition period from where he was as a youngster into his career. So Mark, why don't you tell us about it?
Yes, we want to hear it, Mark.
Thank you. And hey, thank you.
Welcome to We Got Issues.
Everyone. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, outstanding. Sinise, that's how you do it.
Mark, I'm usually a pro at this, okay? I had one slip up today.
Pull yourself over.
So, yeah, I'll tell you. I've been in law enforcement since 1994. I became a police officer when I was 18 years old. Actually, I was in my first semester of college when I started with the Detroit Police Department. It's been a great career. I transitioned just 2 years ago, in fact, to the Wayne County Sheriff's Office. And wow, what a great transition it's been. I truly love working here. But going back into, over my personal experiences, as Nazay was pointing out, he was pulled over. I too have been pulled over outside of my law enforcement career as a young police officer, not knowing the proper protocol. In carrying my weapon while off duty, I was walking through a public area and someone saw that I had the outline of a firearm on me. Shortly thereafter, I was stopped by the police, and by a lot of police, in fact, and police officers, that is to say, and I was searched. No questions asked beforehand. They immediately grabbed me and searched me, found my pistol, and I said, yeah, I complied 100%, and it was a good experience, but I understand very well how frightening the anxiety and everything that goes along with that encounter. And I can tell you that, when in my own personal law enforcement career, that's something that I've always kept in mind. And so when Nazay had mentioned earlier with regards to a person being stopped by the police and having those interactions, the anxiety that goes along with that and not knowing how the circumstance is going to end, I can tell you that by 100% compliance, that in my situation that I described earlier, it definitely helped lead to a positive result.
That is
Mark,
awesome. Can you go ahead, Nazay?
No, I wanted to ask if Mark, there was this question I wanted to pose to you about, do you think that whether on the streets or in the jail system, that having Black and brown faces helps to reduce crime or helps to keep people from returning to like the jail system, like those who have been incarcerated? If they see familiar faces that may be motivating them to do better that second time around, do you think it'll help reduce some of that activity in terms of them going back in?
Well, it's a very social question that you're asking with respect to what's in the minds of each person, each individual. Being Puerto Rican myself and coming from a very diverse ethnic background in my family, I can tell you that in my dealings, my experience with speaking with my family members in the pride they take in having a Puerto Rican in a position where they're doing better for themselves, as opposed to being caught up in the vicious circle that all too often we find our minorities get caught up in. Is it because of a lack of hope? Is it because they feel that they would never be accepted? And it's a very interesting question, because not too long ago, and just a few weeks back, in fact, myself and another one of the Wayne County Sheriff's Office recruiters, we were visiting one of our organizations within the city of Detroit's boundaries. And two African-American gentlemen were walking up, and we just sparked up a conversation with them. And the gentleman, the other recruiter who was with me, asked him, "Hey, are you guys interested in signing up for joining us in the Wayne County Sheriff's Office?" And with no uncertain terms, they looked right at him, and he's an African-American gentleman, and they said, "You know what? We would rather talk to you, because you understand what it's like with respect to my partner. Wow. You understand what it's like." And I sat there and I listened, and after the conversation went on, that was a big part of it. Was these guys didn't feel as though they would be accepted. Perhaps my appearance. I guess you don't really know that I'm Puerto Rican without me telling you. I mean, my last name might say it, and yeah, sure, I have a bit of a brown complexion, but I don't come off, I guess, to some as though I have a minority background. Yet they felt very uncomfortable having a conversation with me about their feelings about joining a law enforcement career, because I didn't share their same ethnic background. And so that's a very solid and real topic. And it's almost like a stigma that we have to, as a society, we simply have to get past it and rise above it. Because as you pointed out, Nazay, it's important that people understand that we are, well, especially with the Wayne County Sheriff's Office, we take great pride in our diversity. And it goes beyond just a person's ethnicity. It goes beyond their religious and cultural beliefs. By bringing all of these different backgrounds together, that's what makes us stronger. That's what makes us a better and more well-rounded organization that I'm very proud to be a part of.
Well, we definitely have openings. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes. I just that's exactly where I was going, is when we look at the national statistics, I'd love to know what it looks like in Wayne County. 71% of police officers, this is 2016 data, according to the Bureau of Justice Statistics. 71% were white, despite the population of 60%. 11.4% were African American, despite the population of 13%. And that there have been even more, looking at it nationwide, it seems that there are even bigger gaps that are taking place in many of our suburban and rural areas, and that George Floyd has been such a groundbreaking situation. Some have said it's definitely going to affect recruitment of minorities for a long time. Can you talk about your recruitment efforts? My first question would be, what percentage of the sheriff's department are African American? Do you have those stats? Are those stats that you are aware of?
I'm not aware specifically of what those numbers are. I just asked Human Resources just this past Friday to get a better grasp and handle on that, and not just to African American, but every culture. We're in Wayne County. We're a very, very diverse community. And so I was curious of those specific demographics, which the gentleman I spoke with did not have those at hand. But it's a topic, right? It's definitely a real issue that we want to take a hard look at, just to ensure we are bringing to the citizens of Wayne County a police force, if you will, that represents them in every way.
Mm-hmm. What can you talk about recruitment? Before the show, we were talking about all the positions that are available. What does it take? What do you look for? And how would someone go about? Talk a little bit about the opportunities that are available in Wayne County.
Well, I can tell you the sheriff of Washington. Go ahead, Nazay.
I want to jump in and just say, Wayne County is one of the most diverse cities and counties in the entire state. I think it's the largest, most diverse county in Michigan. And like you said, Mark, we do have one of the most diverse law workforces, period. But we have to continue to work on diversifying our law enforcement department. And one of the things that I think a lot of people miss out on is that being a law enforcement isn't just about being a police officer or a sheriff. We have attorneys, we have probation officers, we have corrections officers, we have juvenile detention specialists. There are there's social workers, there are project specialists, there are therapists, there are nurses. All of these individuals work everywhere between the street and in facilities such as jails and detention centers. So and when people don't know how to get involved in the community and make a difference, you just have to use your own avenue and niche to get there.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's right. Excellent. Mark, I'm going to go ahead, Chris.
I have a question, and Mark, my question is and I don't know if this is a question that you can even answer, but I know, especially because Wayne County is so diverse, and I know, because we have a lot of individuals that in our family work that are police officers. And of course, I mean, you turn on the news every day and there's something that's going on, and you hear the stories of discrimination. You read the stories of, being caught while driving Black. And so my first question is, what kind of diversity sensitivity training does Wayne County have? Is that a course that is mandatory, or is that something that's optional?
From day one, that's something that's driven into our recruits, that they're educated on that. As you can imagine, we have recruits who come in from all different walks of life. Again, that's great. But by being from different walks of life, they may not be very diverse in their own knowledge of other cultures. And so by bringing them all together, it's imperative that we incorporate that into the training that we afford all of our recruits who come through our jailer training to begin with, so that they are aware that their culture is not the only culture, and there's a strong need for understanding and learning. That's what makes us stronger. That's what makes us a better organization, and certainly a better entity to truly represent the citizens of Wayne County.
Mm-hmm. So one last question, Caterina, I promise you, and I'm done. I just want to ask, what is your thoughts on officers living in the community where they work? I know at one point we did have, I don't know if it was a law, but I do know that in order to get hired in like Detroit, you had to live in Detroit that you knew the community. You weren't coming from the suburbs into the inner city and not having, been in the community, know what makes this community work, what doesn't make it work. So I think they changed it where anybody can work in Detroit regardless of where you live. Would you say in your perspective that when they changed that, it changed the dynamics of the individuals that are working in Detroit proper?
Great question. And I can tell you that I experienced it. I lived through that. Being born in Detroit and being raised in Southwest Detroit, at some point in my life, my parents moved us out of the city of Detroit, out of Southwest, because of an issue that took place in front of our home. We were right there at the corner of Scotton and Verner, and there was a bar right there in the corner, and there was some violence that broke out. My parents just wanted to get us away from that, and they moved us to a bordering suburb, if you will. And after when I turned 18, I moved back to the city of Detroit, where I lived. And I do remember when that residency policy was lifted. It was by way of state legislation, as memory serves. And at that point, I remember the camaraderie, if you will, the way the officers interacted with the community. And it was, as you're pointing out, it seemed to be that there was a very strong degree of interaction with the citizens. The sheriff and I were just talking about that. Sheriff Washington and I were just speaking about this earlier, and how there's that when you work as a law enforcement officer in the community you live in, there is a perception that, you're going to see these, the individual that you may have arrested a week ago, you're going to see him at the gas station, as Sheriff Washington pointed out. And that's just another reminder for everyone who works in any community to remember that they are a part of that community. Right. On that note, though, there are always two sides of every coin. On that same note, there's also a degree of pride police officers take in their community. I can tell you that so many officers I know who don't live in the Detroit area, or even Wayne County for that matter, yet work in the Detroit within various police departments, not just Detroit to pick on one, but those officers spend a great deal of time engaging in community events, fundraisers, and volunteering their off-duty time by participating in events to make their community that they work in. They take that great pride in, and there seems to be a strong degree of love for that community. Right. Now, right. I can't speak for everyone. Some people, they it doesn't matter if they live there or not. Right. They may view their job as an 8-hour-a-day operation. But I found what specifically with regards to law enforcement, the degree of pride our officers take in ensuring that community they're entrusted to protect is truly protected.
And that's a great question, Chris. I just want to, Mark Nazay, if you could just talk about it on the real. I have a great friend of mine from college. Her husband is the chief of police here in Northern California in a major city. And he does live in the same city. I can see how that, I know as a community activist, the difference it makes, but then I also know the challenges that it presents. And I do have another friend years ago whose husband is no longer with us because he lived in the community and was murdered by someone that he had previously arrested. And so really, is that a requirement for the 200 applicants that are they required to live there? I agree that it absolutely makes a difference. But does that present a problem in recruiting?
Well, recruitment efforts for both the juvenile detention specialists as well as for the sheriff's office are not restricted to boundaries on whether or not you live in Wayne County. I agree that, serving the community that you live in is very important. But if we're going to talk about diversity, we need people from all over. So right now, the qualifications stand at you got to be 18 years old, high school diploma, GED, and we can start to have a conversation about you building a career within the county and within your community. So that's the bare qualifications, whether you want to start on the sheriff's office side as an officer or whether you want to work with youth and start as a juvenile detention specialist in the Wayne County Detention Facility. Either way, there's no boundary on where you live at. I think right now my biggest thing is getting youth and young adults, period, just familiar with the fact that they are eligible to have careers in law enforcement, because a lot of people don't think that those careers are set out for them. So, right now, Mark and I are trying to work together to figure out how do we get the word out? How do we talk to people who are just graduating from GED programs and they need job placement? How do we get the word out to people who are aging out of the foster care system, like the Michigan Youth Opportunity Initiative? Those people have up until 23 years old to be under foster care. They need job placement. Here's the perfect opportunity to build a career. Everybody loves a great retirement program, and also serve the community in which you live in. So, I don't think we should be restricted to having to, because we want to keep our workforce diverse, but it's important, to find a job that you're going to be comfortable with. And in this case, Wayne County is offering jobs across the board.
Mm-hmm. So I want to bring Sabrina in. And right before that, Mark, can you just specifically talk about all of the positions that are available and what do you look for? If it's just 18 years old and a GED, that certainly opens up the applicant pool. Right. How do we make sure we get the best officers?
Well, that's just it. There is a process to begin with. Obviously, a person would have to fill out an application, and the application it's very simple to get the application by going to sheriffconnect.com, and I'm going to plug it right now. So that's SHERIFF Connect, CONNECT, one word, .com. All they have to do is log into that or click on that, open it up, go to the careers, and you can download the application right there. As Nazay said, 18 years of age, having a high school diploma or a GED, no felony convictions, and that career, you've just taken the first step in moving towards a great career. I can't tell you how great my career in law enforcement has been. The ability to help others, the ability to do great, not to get religious, but I will all day long. The ability to be an extension of God's work, and I'll tell you, it's been a fantastic career. And so that's getting that opportunity, making sure that everyone understands they have that opportunity. So as we discussed earlier, there are so many people who may have a negative thought or think that they don't fit into a law enforcement world because of sensational media, or any media for that matter, that only shows the bad side or shows the acts of the very few in a huge population of law enforcement, which doesn't represent the law enforcement community as a whole. As Sheriff Washington says quite frequently, be that change. If you're worried about the way law enforcement conducts itself, get in there, apply, become a part of that change you want to see. Have that courage. And those words just are so strong. And the opportunities, the different job positions within the sheriff's office. Look, as I said earlier, I came from the Detroit Police Department and transitioned over to the Wayne County Sheriff's Department not too long ago. And I can tell you, in retrospect, I look back at the opportunities Detroit afforded me as a police officer, which were many. But then I look at the opportunities here in Wayne County with respect to not being bound, if you will, by a small municipality. Even though Detroit is huge, we still had a very tighter boundaries. Where in Wayne County, it's the entire county. Yeah, the officers have that entire county in which to do good in. But also after 6 months of working in the correction side, which we have a new facility that's getting ready to open up next year, which is going to be state of the art. It's going to be the actual the flagship, if you will, of housing facilities for those who are unfortunate and end up in a position where they have to be incarcerated for a time. Well, on that note, this is not just a facility that takes into consideration the comfort of the officers, but also to ensure those who are in that position and they're being housed while they're awaiting their day in court, that they're in a state-of-the-art facility that with better amenities than what are provided right now. But after the officer spends time working, at least 6 months working in the corrections side of the sheriff's office, there's the opportunities from there. They just expand significantly. We've put our officers through jailer training when they're initially hired. They're trained and they become certified to work as a corrections officer. But after working in the jails, in time, they will be afforded an opportunity to become MCOL certified. And MCOL stands for the Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standards. That is the governing body for the state of Michigan that gives the authority to practice as a law enforcement officer in the state of Michigan, where there are entities within the state colleges that will afford or offer that as a part of their law or criminal justice program. An individual has to pay to go to that. Here at Wayne County, when we hire someone and we send them to the academy, they're not paying for that academy. They're being paid to go to that academy. So that's a huge plus and a huge one of the many reasons why what makes Wayne County that much more attractive than going to other law enforcement entities. But after a person is MCOL certified as a law enforcement officer, the door is wide open with respect to if they choose to go into working in our courts as a court officer, choose to work in our Marine Division, patrolling our waterways, working in our Mounted Division, working in road patrol, and engaging in community event or community service such as that. So the opportunities here at Wayne County they're very many.
So that's awesome. Thank you so much, both of you, for being here. I've got a question. Now, Mark, 18 years old to want to jump into law enforcement, that's very courageous, very brave. Do we see a lot of that, or is that not the norm? I didn't think that was the path for most folks who go into law enforcement. And then I want to know, in terms of community relations, right now, it's tough. It's tough on the public side. It's tough on the law enforcement side. The trust issue is very tried right now. And so can you talk a little bit about what your organization, what your Wayne County is doing to improve community relations? But I am interested in how you wanted to jump into law enforcement at such an early age.
Well, we can say it's a calling. You know, I have a dear friend of mine who was a priest, and I asked him the same question: why would you want to be a priest? And as he said, Mark, it was a calling. And he said, your reasons for going into law enforcement, a calling to help others, to do good in the world. That right there in and of itself, it's so rewarding. I mean, you go to work every day and you just did some good. And you affected someone. You were a positive influence in some way. You protected others. And, it's whether you're 18 or 21, and right. It's a great opportunity. It's a fantastic opportunity for people entering in, coming out of high school, and not everyone goes straight to college. And
I didn't even know that you just had to be 18. I just knew there was a degree of some sort required. So thank you for the education.
Sure.
But it's tough. In North Carolina today, there was somebody from the sheriff's office gone on a call, a regular. I don't know, it might have been domestic violence, but he's dead. He went on a call, and now I've never seen this kind of danger in between the public and the police force that we have right now. It's a climate that I believe is unprecedented. So talk a little bit about that and the community relations question. Thank you.
I'm a big fan of leading by example. And that's one of the things that I absolutely love about Sheriff Washington. He totally takes the reins and believes in that community aspect of law enforcement. Let's just call it like it is. At the end of the day, we as law enforcement officers, we are here to provide protection and serve the community. And so Sheriff Washington has been solid, very solid in leading by example. With respect to the community relations aspect, he's been incredibly engaging, but as of late, the amount of time and the efforts he has dedicated, not just to recruiting and the recruiting efforts to make sure we're providing the citizens of Wayne County, and everyone for that matter comes to Wayne County, a solid police force. He's also very diligent in a program that he's really been pushing hard lately, the Scout program. The Scout program, it's a sheriff community organized urban team. Now, you may ask what exactly is that? And essentially what he's doing, as we know, every municipality within Wayne County has their own law enforcement entity it's theirs. We can say whether it's Livonia or whether it's Detroit for that matter. They have their own police force. Those police officers in those communities they're tied to answering radio runs throughout the day with the calls for service, dealing with major crimes. But one of the things that has often been lost are those, some may say ancillary. I can't call them ancillary, but they're maybe not as urgent, if you will, as a person who's calling for help because of a crisis situation. Situations such as someone complaining of speeders coming, driving through their neighborhoods, and people who are drag racing, and the drifting, which has been these have been huge topics in Wayne County area. And what Sheriff Washington has done has really put a lot of efforts into going into those communities and addressing those issues, and it's working out fantastic. We've gotten a great deal of calls and support and accolades from various communities just in response to that. And that community engagement on the front line is something that's imperative to not just engage crime or illegal activity, but to foster a solid relationship of trust between the community and their law enforcement entity.
Mark, I'm going to jump in because, believe it or not, we have Sheriff Washington on the line. He also happens to be the cousin of Lady Crisette Ellis through marriage. And so, Sheriff Washington, a friend of the show, hello.
Yeah, Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you. We thank you. We applaud you for the great work you're doing.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to jump in because I wanted to jump on, and I had another meeting. As my recruiter, our dad was saying, I'm just out here in the community all over the place. I'm only one person, but listen, when I came into this position, after being, when I came into the sheriff's office, after being in the Detroit Police Department for 25 years, dealing with the community in a big way every day of my life for 25 years, I could not imagine coming into the sheriff's office and then even becoming the sheriff and still not be about the community. Because my mandated duties are to make sure I secure the jail support in the park, the county jail support in the park. And the easiest thing that I could say and do was not be involved and say, I'm going to let Detroit Police handle the community. I'm going to let Livonia, I'm going to let Rockwood, I'm going to let Ingram, I'm going to let all them do their own thing in their own community. That's not who I am. That's not where I came from. I became a police officer to drive a police car up and down the street and take care of Mr. and Mrs. Brown. That's all I wanted to do. And that's what I've done for 38 years. So now that I'm at the head of an agency, I found a way to make sure from a Wayne County Sheriff's standpoint that we do the same thing. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Exactly. We're taking care of quality of life issues that these agencies can't seem to get to in real time. They get to them, but the community wants that stuff done like right away. And we all know if we don't take care of our communities, so goes the city. And so if we want a vibrant city, we have to have vibrant communities. And that's what we're doing as the Wayne County Sheriff's Office, to make sure we're doing the little things that become big things if they're not addressed.
This is so good. We're talking today about the visibility of police in the community. And just this conversation alone is, I believe, success lies in conversation. And just having this conversation, and those of you that are listening in, you are
through the 910 AM app or on the radio, I know that you have been impressed with the passion that you hear from Nazay, the passion you hear from Mark, and just taking the time to call in the sheriff himself. Give him another big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff Washington. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you. Well, making a big difference today. We appreciate you guys. Again, I want to just say that website is sheriffconnect.com. I know that we have qualified applicants that are a part of our show and listening in. Gloria, I'm going to give you an opportunity to jump in just for 30 seconds. I know Baltimore, this is huge. And
it's Baltimore, it's Detroit, it's our neighborhoods, it's everything. And the one thing that we can continue this conversation is women in the workforce, women, who are playing a part in our community as going into the law enforcement field. So that's a whole nother conversation that we can't really talk about now, but I'm just bringing that up so it's something that we can talk about in the future.
Yes. Well, Gloria, I can already tell you that Nazay is going to be coming back to the show. He got more to say about the detention center. He got more to say about the work. Mark, we appreciate you. Nazay, we appreciate you. We're just starting the week. So listen back in tomorrow till We Got Issues. Go to theforceoffriendship.com. And we thank you for calling in today, Sheriff Washington. Have a great Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was an awesome show, you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that conversation.
Needed another hour.
I know.
Totally. We were just getting started.
Talk about,
Miss Gloria, I didn't get to talk about the women that are overwhelmingly applying to be juvenile detention specialists. Like, that list is long. We can't find any men. We need men who want to come. There's so many women who have signed up to be juvenile detention specialists, but we need more guys.
That's interesting. I have a quick question for either you or Mark. When it comes to applicants, do you find that and maybe if they know they have a felony, they don't even apply. But do you find that women are as qualified as the guys, or you know, you just don't have
Women
to.
are always as qualified as a man.
That's the right.
They are always as qualified as a man.
I
will
might get
say
beat
this,
up
though.
over this, but I'll say in a lot of instances, more qualified.
Look, Mark taught me something recently, and that was that I didn't know that as a sheriff, or if you're applying as an applicant, there's a little flexibility to work with past issues. Like, it's not, 15 years of looking back to see what you've done in your life. The span is a lot shorter. And if there's an instance where you have, maybe like an OUI or a little something, depending on the time frame or what the incident was, there may be some flexibility to work through some of that to still be able to get you a job. And so a lot of people think, and we didn't get to talk about that these are discounting or disqualifying factors that actually may be able to work. If you talk to people like me, talk to people like Mark, we may be able to help you out in that situation, varying what the circumstances are.
Wow. We appreciate you guys. Thank you. This has been so great. And so y'all, Facebook audience, sheriffconnect.com is the website, and you just might be working with Mark.
At WayneCountyJobs.com. Wayne County Jobs.
WayneCountyJobs.com. Y'all will see you tomorrow on Tuesday for another great episode of We Got Issues. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.